Hi everyone, this is Olga. Today I want to talk with you about transactional analysis and in particular about the theory of ego states because it can give you the power to change your lives. I know it sounds cheesy, but it is true and it does have a very powerful lens that you can apply to your lives and gain control over it and really be in charge. It can make all the difference between feeling like life is hard and unfair and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it and going out there creating exactly the life that you want to be, the one that excites you, makes you jump out of bed in the morning and feel like, oh my God, I'm on top, this is the best life ever. So let's dive straight into it and stay to the end because at the end we will be talking about how you can also apply the same theory to any of your relationships and gain power in any of the relationships as well. So the theory is very simple. There are 3 ego states that we can be in any given moment of our lives. It can be either child, parent, or adult. We'll go through each one of them, starting with the child. The child is creative and spontaneous. The child can be very cooperative and really willing to get together with other people and interact and create something together. But the child is also immature and can be very rebellious, especially if you're thinking about the teenager. If child is your default ego state, you avoid responsibility. You don't want to do anything that you don't like, even if it's good for you in the long run. So procrastinating, self-sabotage, or even self-destructing behaviors, that all comes from the child. It's like you got older, but you didn't grow up. And the child has no power. The child is constantly on the lookout for someone else to come and fix things for them and give them answers and tell them what to do, or just plainly come in and do things for them. And obviously then they also constantly feel inferior to everyone else around them, feeling less than anyone else around them. And one other nasty little thing about living from the child ego state is children don't have money. If you're struggling with money, you might be living from the child ego state. So to gain power over your own life, you need to notice when you're being pulled into the child ego state, when you are in that state, and shift out of it. And we will talk more about it later. What about the parent? Parent truly has more power than the child, right? So let's look at the parent ego state. Parent provides structure and care. Both are very important and we can't really live without them. But parents often come across as critical and controlling. So if parent is your default ego state, then you tell everyone what they should do with their lives, even if they never asked for your advice in the first place. It's literally either your way or the highway. And it can seem attractive because it kind of looks like you know what you're doing and you've got your life together. But parent is the one who is very often overworked and really tired and exhausted, because if you're a parent, then everyone else around you is a child and you constantly have to look after them and do everything for them because clearly they can't look after themselves. And you can't really trust them with anything either. And as a parent, you really end up having very little joy of life, very little enjoyment out of your time because you're just so tired and so overwhelmed, and literally the weight of the world is constantly on your shoulders. It's exhausting. The truth is also that if you're seeking power, parent is not the state that you want. Parent only has the illusion of power, because if you have the power or if you have control over someone else who is a child, it doesn't give you any control over your own life. That's not how things work. You have control maybe over their life, but not over your own. So it's really not quite what you want. So what do you want? The freedom and the most power is in the adult ego state. So let's look at that. So being adult is about being present and being aware. It's about acting in line with your own values, well, knowing your own values as well, knowing yourself, knowing your needs and wants, taking responsibility for fulfilling all of them, making sure that your life is going well, looking after yourself, taking responsibility for anything that goes on in your life, whether it's financial well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being, anything, but only taking responsibility for yourself, not for other grown-ups. And when you are in the adult ego state, you can easily draw on those positive aspects of both the child and the parent. So you can be spontaneous and creative and cooperative with other people. And you can also create structure, and you can be caring with yourself and with others. So in the adult ego state, you have all of the potential of the best of both the parent and the child, but you get to choose how you want to act in any given moment. You're really open and clear about the situation as it comes to you. You're not looking into it through the eyes of the child or through the eyes of the parent. You're seeing it as it is, and you're free to choose what you want to do about it. Any situation, any interaction, you can be really present, really see what's going on, and act accordingly. So what if you are actually a parent and you have actual real children? We're not talking about ego states now, but actual parenting. Well, my first question would be, how old are your children? If it's an infant, if it's a baby, then yes, they do need a lot of your care. They do need you to make a lot of decisions for them at this stage of their life. But if they're a bit older, especially if they're like a lot older, if they're teenagers and, young adults, probably not as much anymore. So if you were to approach parenting from the adult ego state, that will give you the chance of, first of all, enjoying the parenting a lot more. You can notice a lot more of what's actually happening. You can really enjoy the interaction with your children, but it will also enable you to see your children grow. And as they grow, you can then encourage them to really grow, not just get older, but grow up. So you can encourage them to make more and more choices for themselves and to take more and more responsibility for their own lives, so they can become adults too, really adults. And by staying adult with your child, you will not be thrown off so much by them acting as one, because, well, they are a child. They will sometimes act childish, right? That's what children do. But it doesn't throw you off. You can stay adult and you can stay relaxed about it. And when you are relaxed, dealing with any behaviors, the challenge will be a lot easier as well. So you can be more relaxed, less stressed, and enjoy your parenthood a lot more. So this is really the power that is always available to you. It's always with you. You can always choose to shift into the adult ego state. Notice whichever state you're in and shift into the adult. That's where your power is. That's where your freedom is. That's where you have full charge of your life. And just by knowing that, you can already gain a lot more power in whatever situation you find yourself in your life. Next time we will talk a lot more about how to stay adult, because a lot of things happen in our lives and they throw us back into the child and back into the parent and all over the place, and we will talk more about it. So you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, do so now so you don't miss the conversation. We can continue going further. And now I want us to look a little bit at the relationships and how can this theory be applied to relationships so you can have more power in your relationships as well. And when I'm talking about the relationships, it's not just with your parents or with your children or your partner, it's literally any relationship. From this point of view, from the point of view of this theory, all of us are in one of those three ego states, either parent, child, or the adult. And for the interaction between two people to continue, you have to be in the opposing ego state. So if you are a child, the other person has to be the parent. If you are the parent, the other person has to be the child. Then the flow of communication continues and can continue indefinitely. Like, you might know a couple where one partner assumes the role of parent and the other assumes the role of the child. I've heard comments like this before. Oh, I have 3 boys. They are 5, 7, and 34. What a lovely family. You know what? Who are we to judge? If it works for them, it works for them. But what I'm saying is, if both people are trying to be the parent, the communication will be constantly breaking because the parent needs a child. If both people are trying to be children, communication will also be breaking. There will be problems and problems upon problems because 2 children can't sort themselves out. They need someone else to give them structure. The only ego state where 2 people can continue to interact while being in the same ego state is the adult, because adults can easily interact with other adults. But whenever you find yourself in a situation where someone else approaches you from the child ego state, that will push the triggers and push you into the parent ego state. And the same the other way around. If someone approaches you and starts criticizing you for something you've done, like a parent ego state would do, then it pushes you into the child ego state. And that's one of the biggest triggers in the relationship, where problems start because we're starting to communicate from those positions rather than being equal adults in the relationship. And it's not only in romantic partnerships or families, it can also be with friends. You may have a friend who is always getting themselves into trouble and constantly needs someone else to come and save the day and sort their shit out and, make their life back together again. Or you may have a different friend, someone who cares about you so much, then whenever they get a chance, they give you a big lecture of how you should be living your life, even though you never really asked. But they just do love you so much that they have all these ideas and all these opinions of how you should lead your life. Same happens at work, same happens with our politicians, same happens with the random person you meet at the grocery store. It doesn't matter. Whatever is the ego state that your mind falls back onto by default, that's the way you will be trying to interact with everyone else. And whenever someone else approaches you from one of those states, either as a parent or a child, it will push you into the other corresponding one so that the communication can flow. Your power lies with realizing which ego state you're drawn into, noticing it, and then shifting into the adult. And that is it for me for today. I don't want to make it too long. So we will talk about staying adult and going back into the adult ego state next time. If you want to learn more about transactional analysis and you want to dig into it more, in the meantime, get your hands on the book by Eric Berne, Games That People Play. It's really a very good introduction to transactional analysis. Even though it's been out for over half a century, it's still the classics. And remember that becoming aware of what ego state you are in right now is always the first step to regaining your power back and shifting back into the adult. And also, really important, it's normal to be thrown off back into the child and back into the parent. It happens all the time. That's life. We're all alive and we're human beings. It's normal. Staying adult does take energy, and it takes both physical and emotional resources. So do look after yourselves, look after your mental and physical well-being. Have a great week and come back next week so we can look more into staying adult.